You're listening to The Van Daniel Show, the show that brings you a sometimes explicit, most controversial opinion of a guy you've never heard of about anything and everything. Here's your host, Van Daniel.
Let's get controversial. I'm talking about police in our communities coming up next. First, if you've seen my show before, welcome back. You already know the deal. If this is your first time and you want to have conversations we should be having but aren't, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and click on the little bell icon so you don't miss an episode. Also, leave a comment below and tell me what you think of the video. You can also hit me up on my website or social media for updates. I have all that linked in the description. All right, let's get started. We have a community culture problem between us, community members, and police and law enforcement. At some point, we have shifted from cops are here to protect and serve our communities to we don't even want them around anymore, right? Unless we need them. But the problem is they can't leave us alone and be where we need them at the same time, right? It's impossible. I have a solution to change that dynamic, and you're probably not going to like it. First, listen, I see so many times, so many police videos where compliance is the problem. And that's my first point. Compliance is key. I don't care how right you are. I don't care how wrong they are. Just stop. You're not going to win that argument out there. I promise you. First. Second, stop fighting every single cop you come across. 99% of cops are just out there trying to do their job and do the best of their ability. Not every cop's a racist, whether you believe it or not. So just stop. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times I watch a police video where a dude is like shifting around and going crazy in his car and then gets shot and they're like, oh, he wasn't doing anything. Well, the cop yelled at him for 15 freaking minutes to stop moving. They're like, why didn't he taser him? Because if you've never been on that side of it, I have, okay? Not as a police officer, but I've been on that side of it. The difference is the people that I was trying to get to stop or they actually had guns most of the time or didn't even speak my language. It's terrifying to be on this side, to be on the cop side, because you don't know what that person has behind that door of that car, in their waistband, whatever they're reaching for. You don't know what they stuffed underneath their seat. You don't know. So it's absolutely terrifying. And they, listen, just like you, they want to go home to their families like everybody else. So just stop being sketchy. Go ahead, do what they tell you to do. If they're wrong, everything's on video now. It's all on video. The cop's going to have a body cam. The police car's going to have video. You subpoena all that. If you're right and they're wrong, guess what? You win. Game over. Move on. But I'm here to tell you, you can't tell your side of the tale if you're dead. Because dead people, dead men, tell no tales. So it's impossible to tell your story if you're dead. So just stop, be in compliance, live your life, and move on. I hear so many stories about, oh, the cop pulled me over, didn't have right. I signaled, but he pulled me over anyways and said I didn't signal. Okay, what happened? Well, he caught me with a pound of Coke in the car. What? Or a key of Coke, or however it's measured. I don't know. I'm not a drug kingpin. Here's the deal. If you got caught doing it, you were wrong. They didn't profile you because you're black in a white neighborhood or white in a black neighborhood. They profiled you because you're a freaking criminal. And if you have a problem with that, don't be a criminal. It's that simple, right? Not only that, here's the thing. Isn't that what we want our police officers to do? Don't we want them so in tune with our communities that when somebody from outside the community comes into our communities and they're not supposed to be there, they should question them? I do. for me and my children, for my family, if you don't belong in my community, I want somebody to be able to identify that and then go, hey, what are you doing here? Or just ask the question, hey, what are you doing here? Can I help you? Are you lost? That's their job, to protect and serve the community that they're in and they're serving. So if you have a problem with that, don't go into that community. If you don't belong in that community, you're doing wrong in that community, how is that the police officer's fault? I don't understand. So stop with this victim mentality that they're targeting you, or it's because I'm black, or it's because I'm Hispanic, or it's because I'm white. Stop. If you're targeted in an area that you're not supposed to be in, or you don't frequent, or you do look out of place, if you're a white dude in an all black neighborhood, from my experience, and you're not from that area, you're there for the wrong reasons. Typically, not always, but typically. And if you're there for the right reasons, why would you care if somebody asks you why you're there? Same thing if you're a black dude in a predominantly white area. If I'm a cop and if I'm in this area every single day and I've never seen you and you look suspicious, why wouldn't I ask you what the fuck you're doing here? I don't understand why that's such an issue. The issue is you're soft. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you think you're a gangster. I don't think you think if you're a hard ass. I don't care who you think you are. But if you're offended by that, if you're offended by somebody asking you the question, hey, what are you doing in this neighborhood? And that bothers you, you're soft. And come at me. We can handle it. I'm cool with it. I'm about that life too. Other than that, stop being not going to say it, but you know where I'm going with this. Just stop and move on with your life and be better. Third, and I talked about this already once in my rant of the week, and I believe my second video might be my third. I'll put a link right here so you can get to it. I'm going to say the same thing in this, number 3, that I said in that video, and it's this. Our police officers are disconnected from our communities and have been for a while now. So what I propose is this. Instead of police officers living off in this community and then coming back and then working in this community, I propose if you work in this community, you have to live in this community for a bunch of reasons. But the first question I'm going to ask you is, how many criminals have you ever heard of that have been shot on accident or negligence, or there's a question on why they got shot? It typically doesn't happen. And that's because familiarity is key. Criminals are caught up every day. They're talked to every day by the police. The police are looking for them. They're in this constant cat and mouse game with the police. So the police know who they are. They probably arrested them a few times. Hey, I know that's so-and-so. Hey, I know that's Pooh Bear or whatever his name is, right? He's a drug dealer, but he's not dangerous. Or, hey, that dude's sketchy and he's dangerous. They know those folks, but who they don't know is they don't know the average citizen anymore. They don't know who lives down the block. They don't know who lives over there on the next block over on 3rd Street or over on 1st Street. They don't know that anymore. They only know the bad people or the people they've specifically talked to. If we move those officers back in those communities, those people become real again. They become their neighbors. They become their kids as friends. They become their wives as friends. They become part of the community. And when somebody gets shot in your community, it hits close to home. And I'm not saying that cops are heartless and they're just out shooting people unnecessarily. They're not, and that's not what I'm saying. But I'm telling you, from somebody who's been on the other side of that, it comes from fear. It comes from not knowing the person that's in front of you and the sketchiness that they could be, right? It's the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown, and that's normal and that's natural and that's okay. But what I'm telling you is if we bring those officers back into our communities, we can close that gap and change that dynamic to where they know most people. And if they know everybody or they know most people, there's a familiarity there, right? I know that kid from down that's Jimmy from down the block, right? Or that's Terrell, or that's Darren, or whoever it is. They know, I know his mama, I know his daddy. Because when I was growing up, my officers did live in my communities. And I get it, I'm old, and I was in the 80s, and 90s. But when I got in trouble, the cop would snatch me up and take me home and tell my mama, hey, Van's acting like a freaking idiot. Take care of it. If it wasn't serious, obviously. If I was out doing like really bad shit, that's on me. And that's on you too. But what that does is it brings the community together. It brings the police officers back in our communities. And now when you make that decision to pull your gun in your community, your family's affected. You're affected. Your kids are affected. Everybody's affected outside of what they're already affected with it when a cop kills or shoots somebody, because a whole mess of stuff comes with that already. But this brings it home. And maybe if you run from me now as a police officer, I ain't got to worry about it. Because I know you live over on Sharon. I'm going to go talk to your brother and be like, hey, where's so-and-so going? Call him. Tell him Officer Van's here. I need to talk to him. I don't know why he ran from me, but he needs to explain himself. That's how it should be, but that's not how it is. That's my problem. Fourth and final step. I think it's pretty easy. We just take back our communities. We've gone away from it takes a village to raise a child, and we've gone into worry about yourself. Don't talk to me. Get away from me. And all these things. When I was a child, listen, let me tell you a story. How old I was, 9, 10 years old. I was in a department store acting up. Some woman I never met before and didn't know, snatched me up and whipped my ass. And then found my mama, and my mother thanked her for whipping my ass. And then what did my mama do? Yeah, she whipped my ass for getting my ass whipped by a stranger. We've gone away from all that. And it's absolutely crazy. We need to take our community back. And that falls on us. Period. We got to get back to that. We got to stop getting offended when somebody tells us, your kid's acting up. Oh, not my kid. My kid's not acting up. It must be you. You're the problem, not my child. You know your kid. Just like I know all 5 of mine. There are kids, some of my kids, if you came to me and said, hey, so-and-so's acting up, yeah, he probably is. Get the fuck over here. Or so-and-so's acting up, like, that sounds a little out of character. Let me go and talk to her. Hey, what's going on? What happened? And I'm going to get the truth out of that child. That's not always the case. But we've gotten so hypersensitive and so away from being able to come to somebody and go, hey, your kid's acting up, without that parent freaking out, right? And saying, oh, it's not my kid. Oh, it must be you. Don't talk to my kid that way. Don't do this. Don't do that. Like, listen, lady. Listen, sir. I'm trying to freaking help you out. I'm trying to help your kid out. I'm trying to be part of the village to help raise this child and rear this child in the right freaking direction so there's less crime, so there's less people going to jail, right? Other than that, what do you want to do? What do you got me to do? Wait until have the criminal system punish them later on and be like, well, there's nothing I could have done. No, you could have let me whip their ass. Maybe not that far, but you could have let me listen to me, and maybe you could have done something, and then maybe put it still in that kid's mind, hey, somebody's always watching. Somebody's going to step up and say something if I do something stupid. Those are the lessons I learned as a child. Those are the lessons that we need to learn now, and we're not doing it. And I promise you, if you're a friend of mine or you live in my neighborhood and you come to me and you say my kid's acting crazy, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to appreciate that you came forward and told me my kid was acting crazy so then I can correct my child so they know they can't do that outside my house, let alone inside my house. Take back your communities. Stop letting drug dealers live next door to you and go, well, I know his mama. So what? He's destroying your community and you're letting him do it and you're covering for him to do it because we've gotten into this idea that we're not going to snitch. Oh, I'm not going to snitch. Oh, I'm not going to snitch. I'm not going to snitch. I'm going to snitch. If you're my neighbor and you're doing drugs, I'm going to snitch. It is what it is. If you don't like it, don't do bad shit. And don't do it around me. And if you have a problem with it, like I told you before, I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. And I'm pretty predictable. But that's the only way we're going to take back our communities. That's the only way we're going to make our communities safer. So the excuses are over. And if you have a problem with it, well, then you're the problem. All right. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. Coming up after the break is my rant of the week on illegal immigration. But first, here's my free plug of the week. Coming up next. Are you a gun owner and thinking about customizing a gun or guns? If so, get a hold of The Rock. They specialize in gun customization with all gunsmithing, custom kydex, stripping, and laser engraving, all done in-house. So if you're in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, stop by Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. or visit them on the web at www.therockguns.com. That's www.therockguns.com. And tell them Van sent you. All right, welcome back. My rant of the week this week is on illegal immigration. I'm going to highlight 3 reasons why it pisses me off, and then I'm out. All right? The first reason is the obvious strain on the economy. And I know what you're going to say if you're trying to defend this. Well, Van, they do all the jobs America don't want to do. Well, here's a little economy class for you if you didn't know. Most illegal immigrants work under the table, so they don't pay taxes, right? Then all those illegal immigrants then get on welfare that you pay for out of your taxes. So the people on welfare aren't paying into welfare at all in any way, right? They're sending all the money home. Well, that means the more money they got to take out of your check to pay for welfare, right? And you guessed it, out of your taxes. So if we take those millions of people off welfare, we don't need to pay as many taxes to sustain welfare. Therefore, we take less taxes, which allows businesses to pay more for those jobs Americans really don't want to do, but now will because they can now afford it. That's pretty simple to me, right? And if you can't do the math, hit the comments below. I'll give you a little lesson, okay? Second, crime. It costs American taxpayers $116 billion, that's with a B, to house, feed, and clothe and care for illegal immigrants in prison system right now. That's as of 2019. Not only that, these people in prison don't even care because they're in our prison system, which if you watch anything on Netflix or any television show is like a freaking daycare compared to other countries. So they're cool. They're just cool with staying here. And then they can continue their gang activity from our prisons into our economy. Not only that, if you don't know, MS-13, have you ever heard of that? One of the most notorious gangs that came from where? El Salvador. Oh, wait, that's our southern border. Right? Illegal immigrants that come here, commit all these crimes, and make your life a lot less safe. And if you don't believe me, ask anybody from Texas or California. All right, third, security. If you lived in this country during 9/11, and you don't think we need to secure our borders, you're an idiot. We are the most, if you've never been outside this country, we are the most hated country in the world. And only because we're rich. And you want me to let anybody in? Hell no. The safest country in the world right now, do you know who it is? It's Poland. You know why? They have a wall around their entire country, and they have some of the strictest immigration laws in the world. And you guessed it, guess what? Crime's down. They have 0 terror attacks in Poland, ever. And if you look on the map, they're a hell of a lot closer than those countries that are attacking us in the Middle East. I say build the wall, close the borders, and tighten our immigration laws, and finally put America first. All right, I'm out.
Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is only made possible by you, the listener, so thank you for your support.